Now BJP's key ally flags the Agniveer resentment. JDU pushes for Agniveer review.
सुरक्षा कर्मी थे जो सेनाओं पे तैनात थे, उसके बाद जब अग्निवीर योजना आई तो एक बड़े तबके में असंतोष था, लिहाजा इस पर नई तरीके से विचार विमर्श करने की आवश्यकता है।
Nitish Kumar raises the Agniveer issue with the Prime Minister. Will the Agniveer scheme be reviewed or scrapped as the opposition demands? That's our top focus on India First. Hello and welcome. You watching India First. I'm Gaurav Sawant. The Agniveer scheme, the Agniveer short-term tour of duty scheme is once again in the headlines. Earlier, it was the opposition. Now, even NDA allies are calling for a review of the Agniveer scheme. The JDU has spoken up. It's attributed the adverse impact on the JDU and the BJP in these elections to the Agniveer scheme. The Agnipath scheme, launched in June 2022, recruits youth into the armed forces for a 4-year short-term tour of duty, retains 25% of them, releasing the remainder, asking state armed police forces and the Ministry of Home Affairs to take some of them in the Central Armed Police Forces. And this has disappointed a large number of armed forces aspirants, especially in rural India. This scheme has faced criticism, becoming a major flashpoint even in recent elections. We bring you more in this report. The Agniveer short duration tour of duty scheme of the Narendra Modi government is once again in the line of fire. The opposition had made it an election issue, demanding the scheme be revoked. A key BJP ally in Modi 3.0 government, the Janata Dal United, has gone on record demanding a review of the scheme.
देखिए, अग्निवीर योजना को में नए तरीके से सोचने की आवश्यकता है। जो सुरक्षा कर्मी थे जो सेनाओं पे तैनात थे, उसके बाद जब अग्निवीर योजना आई तो एक बड़े तबके में असंतोष था। मेरा ऐसा भी मानना, उनके परिवारजनों ने भी चुनाव में विरोध जाहिर किया, लिहाजा इस पर नई तरीके से विचार विमर्श करने की आवश्यकता है।
And Tyagi is not a lone voice in the political ecosystem seeking a review of the Agnipath scheme. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi, after his Bharat Jodo Yatra in the run-up to 2024 elections, repeatedly spoke of throwing the scheme in the dustbin if the Congress came to power. He claimed Agniveers were being reduced to being laborers in the army.
मैं आपसे सबसे पहले ये कहना चाहता हूं, नरेंद्र मोदी कुछ भी कहें, 4 जून के बाद इंडिया की सरकार आने वाली है। अग्निवीर योजना को फाड़ के हम कूड़ेदान में फेंकने जा रहे हैं।
However, the Congress could only muster 99 seats, but along with other opposition partners, the chorus from 234 opposition MPs has been to take another look at the scheme. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav insisted the scheme should be scrapped.
समाजवादी पार्टी कभी भी अग्निवीर व्यवस्था को स्वीकार नहीं कर सकती है। फौज की नौकरी बढ़े, नौजवान वर्दी पहन करके सीमा की रक्षा करना चाहता है। पहले लाखों में नौकरी मिलती थी फौज की, इन्होंने हजारों में कर दी है। पुनः लाखों में भर्ती होनी चाहिए, जिससे ज्यादा लोगों को नौकरी मिल सके और देश की सीमा की रक्षा में जा सके।
The Agniveer scheme has repeatedly run into rough weather, with critics saying finding jobs becomes difficult for soldiers after exiting forces. No pension benefits for Agniveers. Forces may lose experienced soldiers, and shorter training period impacts performance.
The Agniveer scheme has been the subject matter of a lot of controversy. So when there's a new dispensation in power, they should look at all these things afresh.
The Narendra Modi government had introduced the Agnipath scheme, saying it provided more youth an opportunity to serve the nation. The armed forces got a youthful profile. They insisted on best training to enhance skills and that 25% soldiers would be retained in the armed forces and more in the central armed and state police forces.
जो 75% बच्चे बचे हैं, युवा बचे हैं, इनके लिए भाजपा शासित सभी राज्य सरकारों ने अपनी पुलिस फोर्स में 10% से 20% रिजर्वेशन किया है.
Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had earlier said that the scheme was being reviewed to ensure any anomalies are removed.
मैं अग्निवीर के जवानों को आश्वस्त मैं करना चाहता हूं कि किसी भी सूरत में हमारी सरकार उनके भविष्य के साथ खिलवाड़ नहीं होने देगी.
The Agniveer scheme was launched in 2022 and government officials say it's constantly being reviewed to make it better both for the youth and the armed forces. Bureau Report, India Today. So the clamour to review the Agniveer scheme and in some instances to scrap it completely is now rising. Joining me on this special broadcast is Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General of Infantry. Also with me on this broadcast is Lieutenant General Satish Dua, former Chief of the Integrated Defence Staff, and Major General Vishwambar Dayal. He was a former Deputy MA in Moscow, and he's someone who's been calling for the scrapping of the Agniveer scheme completely. I want to begin by asking our guests, and General Dayal, to you first. There are several political leaders who are now saying, including JDU, an ally of the Narendra Modi government in Modi 3.0, to review this scheme. But Rahul Gandhi says this scheme should be completely scrapped. In your appreciation as a soldier, should the Agniveer scheme be reviewed or scrapped?
Thank you, Gaurav. I personally feel it should be completely scrapped. People, those who have been enrolled in this, they should be completely reinstated as regular soldiers. Their training should be reconducted for 10 months, whatever, 18 months, whatever was being conducted. They should be regularized without anything, and we should revert back to the original recruitment scheme. This is my stance from day one. And I've been talking on various pros and cons, and as the debate progresses.
So we'll take this one by one. Gen Kulkarni, in your appreciation, should the Agniveer scheme be scrapped?
Definitely no. Much with due respect to Vishamba, who's been a very, very close friend of mine, and I understand him. But I would say no, definitely not scrap. Review, yes, because it has tremendous amount of benefits in terms of its age, also financial benefits that it has. It does not in any way compromise on professionalism. It does not in any way compromise on Josh, Jazba, Junoon. I've been around. I've seen these boys in Ladakh. I've seen them in Arunachal Pradesh and Bumla. So I would say, and seeing the training and the kind of response that the boys have and the kind of motivation level that I've seen, I would say definitely not scrapping, but review, yes. Like I said, 25% right now to go up to 50% is the first step that I would recommend.
Let's take that step by step. So, General Dayal says scrap. General Kulkarni, you say review. General Dua, where do you stand on this? And on this broadcast, we've got 3 generals of the Indian Army who've commanded troops in combat. No tutu meh, no politics. It's a crucial national security issue, and that's why we have 3 veterans talking about it. General Dua, where do you stand on some political leaders saying review it, some saying scrap it?
On a lighter note, Gaurav, do I get the casting vote now? So, in my view, there is a new scheme that has been introduced. It has pluses and minuses. And as is the practice in the army and perhaps and in all services, whenever we start something new, when we review it after some time. So in my view, it does not call for scrapping it totally, but yes, there are reforms that are required, and several leaders have made statement. The defense minister has made a statement last month. General VK Singh made a statement a couple of days ago that modification to the scheme are on cards, and as we go by and by, we learn our lessons. So my view is that we should reform the scheme to the to best advantage of all.
Fair enough, to the best advantage of all. If we were to talk about reviewing the Agniveer scheme, so let's take the minuses first. And General Dayal, we'll take this step by step so that our viewers can also understand what is the Agnipath scheme, what is it about the Agniveers that you are extremely uncomfortable about. Let's take up two issues first. What is it that you want scrapped about the Agniveer scheme? The army says, and I interviewed the chief of the army staff about it, General Pandey says, one, it reduces the age profile of the fighting force. Youthful army, especially at the border areas. Is that a good idea? Is that not a good idea in your appreciation? What do you want reviewed?
See, you're asking me, Gaurav, firstly, let's be very clear. The scheme, basically, the soldiers come from where? It comes from rural India. In rural India, at 5th, 6th standard class, a boy does not know he's to become engineer or he has not many options. So some of them do well, but bulk of them at 10th class, 12th class, they realize that this is their ultimate educational qualification. But they have passion to serve. They had all jajba to serve the nation, and this was a passion. So they don't find it a stable career. They feel that a stable long-term career, which was there for them to serve the nation, doors have been closed completely. This is a feedback from the rural heart of India to wherever I visited. And their sentiment is very clear. And it is not coming from ex-servicemen much. It is coming from normal people, ladies, women, their mothers, this thing. And they say, sir, हमारे बच्चे को भी आपने एक्चुअली मैं कॉन्ट्रेक्चुअल को वो लेबर से कनेक्ट करते हैं रूरल इंडिया कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पे जाएगा ये मतलब मजदूर की तरह भर्ती होगा प्लीज डोंट मिसअंडरस्टैंड माय वर्ड एंड कनेक्टेड विद राहुल गांधी दैट स्टेटमेंट दिस इज हाउ दे टॉक. Second issue,
so let's take it one by one.
I'll just tell you the two issues you asked me, I'll answer briefly. Second issue is it is absolutely inadequate when it comes to national security, and this myth of bringing age less is a myth, because I'll just close this issue here. General Kulkarni, most revered out of all, and even General Dua, who's a good friend, who sat with me on the same office, and they both, I have not led them to troops to war. They've led troops in crisis. Yes. General Kulkarni as a major...
Sir, I'm aware of that. So we'll stay on the issue for a moment.
Stay on the issue. Acclimatized company and nobody failed because of being youth or unyouth. Let's not abuse people by saying...
General Kulkarni, youthful profile is a myth according to General Dayal. In rural India, we are told youngsters say 4 साल की सर्विस है, शादी तक नहीं हो रही है. Nobody wants to give his wife to his daughter to an Agniveer to become his wife.
See, Gaurav, there are various issues connected with it. First and foremost, let's take the present issue which has come. Now, this is the pensionable service of 15 years plus came from 1976. From 65 onward, it was 7 years first, and then subsequently after the 62 war, it raised from 7, then it became 10. We used to have 7 years of color service and 8 years of reserve service. And during the 8 years of reserve service, he was paid 45 rupees per month as a retention charge and a retention fee, and every 2 years he reported to the nearest unit and continued, and that is how, that means 7 years of color service, 8 years of reserve service became 15. From 1976 onwards, it became 15 years. In 2000, I would rather put it till quite late, the pension of a person, a soldier, used to be 95 rupees per month, which over the years rose to become, even if you put inflation, it will become about 2,000 in 2024. It is the 5th and the 6th pay commission recommendations which raised it, and today the pension for a soldier is about 33,000 per month. Now, when you look at it this way, definitely, first and foremost, an Agniveer, the asset test of Agniveer is the resettlement of the Agniveer post 4 years. That is one. As far as the age is concerned, definitely it becomes a young profile. Look at China, it's 25 years. Look at Pakistan, it's 25 years. Look at NATO, 24 years. Definitely a younger profile, and there is no difference in this. Again, the training part. I've been to the centers, I've seen for instance whether it's the basic military training or the advanced military training. It's almost 41 weeks of the training they're there, simulators are there. Even the boys who are coming, they're good enough physically, initially maybe a little weak, but that's with everyone.
Fair enough. General Dayal, if the retention, as sources in the armed forces say, of course, this isn't official, we are only hearing, since we cover the beat, that retention may become from 25% to 50% in the armed forces. And in case the government makes it mandatory for central armed police forces and state forces to take another 25%, mandatory, does that make the scheme more attractive for youth?
Gaurav, let's face the facts. There is a huge line of youth from rural India standing for enrollment to all these paramilitary forces. There is a huge, bigger line than the army. And there is a huge line there. Secondly, this promise, they'll be absorbed there, they'll be absorbed there. I'll just give you an example. Haryana has got 27 districts. There are supposed to be soldier boards. There's supposed to be a secretary soldier board, an ex-captain, ex-major, ex-colonel. It was mandatory. It was there. In fact, there is a state chap. They have appointed a civilian there. What are we talking? They are not even 23 districts. Doesn't even have a secretary there. Leave aside anything else. There is already existing schemes for, and today the boy is retiring at 34, 35. He's more experienced. He knows more knowledgeable. He has everything. Yet you are not employing him. You're not employing him. What are you talking of the 4 years boy? This is a farce which rural Indian local people realize it. Please try and understand. And as far as age is concerned, I'm again reminding my friends.
Sir, I want to take two more topics. I want to take two more topics today.
We are all youthful.
I'll get,
I'm saying if you want to reduce the age, please make the corps commander at 40 years. Please make the army commander at 45 years.
And soldier at 60. I'm sorry, that doesn't add up. General Kulkarni, quickly, sir. If this absorption scheme doesn't seem to work, General Dayal says.
It doesn't. It will not work.
General Kulkarni.
Again, as I said, with due respect to General Dayal, because he intends to scrap the scheme, that's what he stands for. Whereas I am standing for something to be reformed. Look at this. I'll put a small statistics for you. 50% to be retained, 25% absorption. Now, that's something that you get the best professional soldiers into the army. From 40 years, even the review committees all along have always recommended a younger age profile, and this definitely helps having a younger age profile. Now, even if you put it the other way around, let's say that there are about, in an infantry battalion, there are about 400 people who appointments. When I say appointments, I say Naik to Subedar Major. 400 of them. There are about 93 to 95 Agniveer. We join the infantry battalion every year. 25% are retained out of that, and we retain, the retention goes from 25 to 50%. Okay. That means about 40 people are retained every year. So all the number of all these appointments that are going to be retiring every year are automatically adjusted. So out of the 95 Agniveers that are going to be joining, 50%, is between 40 and 45 are going to be retained. That definitely keeps the battalion young. It keeps the battalion totally motivated. It keeps them committed.
If a soldier has shed blood for the country, then if he's been killed in the line of fire, look after his family for life. If he's been injured, look after him like you would a regular soldier after all he's bled for the nation.
100%, without fail. But Gaurav, even today, he is giving 48 lakhs of non-contributory insurance. Every soldier of the Indian Army pays for his insurance. This Agniveer is not going to be paying for his insurance. He gets 44 lakhs as ex-gratia should anything go wrong with him. Definitely in war, he should be treated as par with anybody else and get all. But even today, he gets 1 crore. Even today, the Agniveer who died recently in Siachen got 1 crore. There's nothing left. See, not to say that they're not being looked after would be folly. It is not that they're not being looked after. Even from the amount of money, for 4 years of service that a boy is doing, it's very clear from day one when he's there, he's joining as Agniveer. Yes, if he was joining as Sepoy. Once he becomes the Sepoy after 4 years, the ones detained, then of course is a regular this thing. But sure enough, I agree with both Dayal as also with Satish that definitely a person who dies in service in war, in his action, he should be treated as a soldier and he should be given. There is no problem whatsoever. But in normal circumstances, I think it is perfectly fine. I don't think, because 48 lakhs, every soldier pays for his insurance. Today, every soldier pays. No government is paying for his insurance.
Fair enough.
But for him, the government is paying for insurance 48 lakhs.
Dayal, quickly, sir.
Gaurav, that is where I'm differing with everybody.
Go on,
That's
sir.
what I'm saying. The day you have recruited a man with a belt, with a badge of that regiment, if he dies driving a vehicle in his unit lines, if he dies during a training on the small arms ranges, a small incident takes place, he dies anywhere, he dies while playing football, he is a casualty in the armed forces. That is what I've been talking about. See, my problem is not, people are not understanding. My problem is simple, that people, those who brought this scheme, why I'm blaming that this is an ad hoc scheme? Because in the army is such a good institute, we think through terms and conditions.
Yes.
I'm a short service commission officer. My terms and conditions, I thought through, everybody was implemented. If anything happened to me, I was like a regular soldier in those 5 years.
Yes.
On the war, in 71 war, people died. I have a cousin died, please. His mother's pension and everything.
And those are the issues.
People did not think through this scheme and terms and conditions, and it was thrust upon us.
And that is where it is being said that this remains work in progress. General Dua, General Bishwambar Dayal and General Kulkarni. I've run out of time on this part of the show, but this is a story we'll be tracking very, very closely. The army chief, when I spoke to him, said it's a scheme that any issues with it, it's work in progress and niggles will be sorted out. Will they be sorted out to the best satisfaction of the soldiers and the nation? We'll be tracking that story very closely. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me.